Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Health is Wealth. Today we'll be talking about diet. Diet plays a vast role in maintaining your health and keeping fit and healthy. We'll be talking about what constitutes as a good diet and what constitutes as a bad diet. With us we have Dr Aseem Malhotra, who is a consultant cardiologist and is leading a worldwide campaign on diet and lifestyle. Welcome to the show, Dr Aseem.
Hello, Nadia.
So, we hear the term balanced diet a lot. What constitutes as a balanced diet?
Well, I think the first thing to say is according to the Lancet Global Burden of Disease reports, poor diet now contributes to more disease and death than physical inactivity, smoking and alcohol combined. Wow. So the mantra that food can be the most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison is absolutely true. And what I would say is actually people should concentrate on eating foods that have good nutritional value, that nourish the body, but also are where there is an evidence that they impact on your health in a positive way to reduce your risk of developing many diseases and reduce your risk of suffering and improve your quality of life. I'm a big foodie. I love food. Like anybody else, I cook. I love eating food. And what many people don't realize is you can eat very tasty, good food, but also food that is going to have a positive effect on your physical health and your mental health. And I think that's a message that we need to try and get out from this discussion and out to the public.
I'm actually going to endorse that fact that you are a foodie and you enjoy cooking, because if any of our viewers want to follow you on Facebook or Twitter, all the lovely recipes that you've been making, very healthy but very practical sort of recipes that you've been conjuring up in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, I mean, my family, I learned to cook from both my mum and dad, and in fact, I find it very relaxing. But I do it also mainly because of the health benefits. But it's also food that you can make very tasty. So really, the evidence is quite clear. People are wondering what constitutes a healthy diet, which you asked me, and actually, it's a diet that really is very low in processed food. So it isn't eating out from takeaways. It isn't eating fast food. It's kind of reducing those significantly. I would say if you're going to eat fast food, don't have it more than once a week if you can. We know that having fast food just twice a week increases inflammatory markers in the blood, increases insulin resistance. So really we should have fast food no more than once or twice a week.
So we should be sort of encouraged to cook our food ourselves.
Definitely.
So I've been reading some of the research that you've actually published, and one of the pieces of research which actually took my interest was about the ghee and butter in the diet. Now, I'm under the misconception that, ghee is all bad for you, but you're saying something different.
Well, I think for a long period of time, what we've done is we've unfairly demonized saturated fats, certain types of fats found in foods such as butter and ghee and full fat yogurt and cheese. But now the emerging evidence is telling us that actually all fats are not the same. And to put it very simply for your viewers, there's probably a neutral effect. There is no specific harm in having a bit of ghee and cooking in ghee or in butter. That's what I do sometimes. I wouldn't say do it a lot, but there's no harm in having that occasionally. What I would say though is the best types of fats to eat are really fat that comes from extra virgin olive oil, comes part of the Mediterranean diet, and fats from nuts. I would say they're almost medicine. I mean, I have at least I would say 6, 7, maybe more tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil every day. Either I cook in it or add it to my food. And I also have a handful of nuts. And the evidence is very clear that in terms of reducing your risk of heart disease and even dementia, a high-fat Mediterranean diet, which is high in olive oil and nuts, has a significant impact. The other foods are having lots of vegetables, a little bit of fruit, and I would say the whole fruit. Avoid juice because it's very high in sugar, but having whole fruit like an apple or an orange a day. In fact, it's interesting, some Oxford researchers did a study and they found that actually eating 1 apple per day was almost as effective, if not as effective, as taking a cholesterol-lowering drug at reducing the risk of a heart attack.
So it's true what they say then, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is these foods have many benefits in reducing inflammation in the blood. It's not about lowering cholesterol, it's actually just an independent effect. So having lots of vegetables, oily fish, nuts, whole fruit, and reducing the amount of sugar, reducing the amount of what we call refined carbohydrates, so not having too much white bread, not having lots of white rice, go for the ones which have fiber, will actually have a significant impact on your health in a very short space of time.
So these foods that you mentioned, they're high in certain fats, the good fat, but they are quite high in calories as well.
Well,
so what
yeah.
should, the viewers who are trying to lose weight, say, for example, what should they be doing?
I would make it very clear, stop counting calories. Eat foods that are known to be healthy and nutritious for you. What will happen is the body is very good at controlling. When you eat proper foods that are non-processed, appetite actually gets more controlled. I eat a lot of fat, actually, and when I looked at the data, I used a lot of sugar. I knew it was harming my health. And what people don't appreciate as well is actually what's the biggest marker, a more important marker of health risk is waist circumference.
Yes.
And especially in the Asian communities and Middle Eastern communities, we are more prone to insulin resistance, which is a big risk factor for heart disease. And actually waist circumference is a better marker rather than being what we call overweight or obese. And actually, if you eat these non-processed foods, even if you're overweight, you're likely to lose weight gradually. But even if you don't lose weight, if you eat these foods, you're reducing your risk of heart attack and stroke in a very short space of time. So these are the messages that I think people should concentrate on. The foods, don't count the calories. And actually what happens, appetite gets controlled. And the other thing is, if you have calories from fat, actually that has the least impact on increasing insulin. So it's actually good. And you burn those calories much more easily. The body finds it easier, feels full, and actually you control your appetite. We actually now know that it's very likely the reason we're having a huge increase in obesity prevalence across the world is because we're consuming way too much sugar and too many carbohydrates. They interfere with appetite, we end up eating more, and then that becomes a vicious cycle, what we call carbohydrate and sugar addiction to some degree. And I think that's the issue we have. And once you reduce those, and you can eat more healthy, you can feel healthier and you can feel happier as well.
So now, as we sort of bid farewell to Ramadan, what advice do you have for us now to continue being healthy? Because we've trained our bodies now for smaller portion sizes. We get fuller quickly. Can we maintain this after Ramadan?
Yeah, I think that's a very important point you make. And actually, we know that even fasting to some degree is beneficial as well. So there's nothing, even in the week, people who take, may fast on a day or have certain breaks in eating. I think that's very beneficial. But when you eat, you want to eat to enjoy and you want to eat till you're full. And I think this is the key. When you eat the non-processed foods, you eat whole foods, you eat more fat in your diet from things like olive oil and nuts, actually you'll feel full and you don't have to think too much. You then eat when you're hungry. And in fact, actually, that in itself will be very beneficial.
So this advice that you're giving, have you taken any of this advice for your own self?
Absolutely. In fact, I like to follow my own advice. And even though I've never been overweight, I've always been concerned about my risk because I have a family history of type 2 diabetes, for example, and high blood pressure. So I know that if I carry on having an unhealthy lifestyle or what I used to have in terms of my diet, I was at risk myself. So I, for the last couple of years, have cut out sugar. In the last several months, I've significantly reduced my carbohydrate intake. And without even aiming to do this, I've actually lost a lot of weight around my waist. I think I've lost about a stone probably in the last year.
Well done you.
And I've not changed my exercise levels. In fact,
Really?
my overall exercise may have decreased slightly. So when it comes to weight, diet is the most important factor.
Well, see, that's exactly what I was going to ask you next. You've stolen my next question, Aseem. I was going to actually mention the fact that obesity is a #1 public health issue at the moment.
Yes.
So apart from diet, does exercise actually have any value in weight loss?
No, what I would say is exercise has many benefits for health. There's no doubt about it. It reduces the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, dementia, and even many cancers. But it's not a very good tool for weight loss.
Really?
When it comes to weight loss, it's all about diet. And part of the reason...
I'm absolutely shocked. Absolutely shocked.
Yes, I mean, it's a myth that's really been put out there by the food industry because they want to sell food and they want to pretend that it's all about being overweight is because of a lack of activity, not because of they're selling lots of processed food that you're eating that's full of sugar. And that's really part of what we call their PR machinery, their campaign. And everyone has believed this, but the evidence tells us, I would actually say it's a myth. There's almost no relationship between physical inactivity and obesity. Do exercise, but if it's weight control you're after, or reducing the amount of weight you have and being healthier, then it's all about diet.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Aseem.
Thank you.
There's good evidence to suggest that having a healthy diet can reduce your risk of obesity and also many diseases such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, stroke, and even some cancers. So maintaining a balanced diet and keeping fit should be an integral part of your daily routine. We really hope you've enjoyed our shows over Ramadan. We wish you and your families a very healthy and happy Eid. Now it's time for our fitness segment with our personal trainer. Thank you very much and Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan is a great time to start reflecting on your life. It's a great time to start looking inwards rather than outwards. Now, a lot of people struggle doing this because there's a lot of things outside like stress, your work, your family, your mobile phone, your laptop, everything that steals your attention all the time. Now, if you're one of those people who struggle to find a little bit of headspace, I suggest you try and take up a little bit of meditation. Now, don't worry, you don't have to get into the traditional meditation pose with your legs crossed on the floor or anything like that. You can do it just sitting for 5 minutes on a chair as I'm doing now. Now, what I'd suggest you do is turn off every electronic equipment around you. Shut the door if there are people in the house and really close yourself off as much as possible. You put one hand on your chest and one on your stomach. I suggest you close your eyes, but for now, I'm not going to. You're going to take a deep breath, as deep as possible, in through your nose. Inhale deeply. Try and make that inhalation go to your stomach rather than your chest. So the reason why I got our hands here is so that you can feel exactly where that breath is going. And exhale as deep as well as possible. Everything out. Do that a couple of times, and what you'll notice is that your heart rate will slow down and you're going to start relaxing much quicker. Now enjoy that for 5 minutes and do that even perhaps before you go to sleep for a better night's sleep.